to Wrestling Sheet Radio. I am your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com, Editor-in-Chief Ryan Satin, here with my co-host Elijah Bates. Welcome, Elijah.
Thank you once again for having me.
No Jamie this week.
No Kevin?
No Kevin. You know, to be honest with you, I guess Jamie's sick or something.
Yeah.
And he told me last night, and I was like, yeah, no problem. I texted Rachel kind of like, I didn't say, do you want to come in? I like asked her a different question that I was then gonna segue into. Do you want to come into the show tomorrow? And then I forgot.
Yeah.
And then like she didn't respond, and then I forgot. And then I mean Kevin's a mission. It's rainy. It's gross right now. And then Norman's here in the office. I honestly assumed Norman's gonna be able to do it, but then I also forgot that we like record kind of late. It's a long day for someone in the office the whole time like that.
Yeah.
You know, like. So I was like, no, you can go home. You don't have to stay here till 6 o'clock to record with us. You can go home to your wife.
We got this.
We got this. Honestly, I mainly wanted to hear your opinions on all this stuff anyways, because there was a lot of stuff that went on this week.
No, it was a good diverse news week.
It was a good diverse news week. And, you know, there's honestly a couple big stories this week. Not like one that I can specifically point out as the biggest story of the week, but the most recent big story broke tonight. Shortly before you came over here, Eli, and that is in regards to Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, he announced back in October that he was relinquishing the Universal Championship and taking time away from the ring. And that's where he said that he'd been living with leukemia for 11 years and it had recently returned.
Massive shock.
Massive shock. Probably the biggest story of 2018 and just like a whoa. Like just because it came out of nowhere.
Well, just like a real life story in wrestling. You know, those tend to be like the larger stories when something major happens. And this is different than all of them.
Absolutely. So Vince McMahon tweeted today and he said, Roman Reigns, a.k.a. Joe Anoa'i, will address the status of his fight with leukemia this Monday on Raw. #fighter, #proud, #classy. Now, obviously, this is going to fuel speculation that he's coming back, that he's in the mix again.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, am I crazy for thinking that?
No. Like, my first thought was, it was coming from a good place, I think, and it was just like maybe they are just going to give an update, but at the same time, pop a rating for doing it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so
because he did say he was going to be like open about it and all that kind of stuff, but I do find it hard to believe that he's coming back just to give like a basic update on how he's doing.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that you're right, or that you're justified in feeling that way. Like, why would they advertise it otherwise? Because like if it wasn't going to be something bigger, they could have just had him show up. It would have been still a big moment. It would have like had a huge effect. It still would have sent ripples through like, you know, the news and whatnot that he came back and it was a surprise. So like, yeah, I mean, I think that you're justified in feeling that way.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Where's the story that I saw? I think it was the UK Sun, which is like the least reputable site. But I did find it interesting that they posted a story. I think they're the ones that posted a story saying that Vince has been pushing for Roman Reigns to return to TV. I can't find the exact story, and it's frustrating me that I can't, but there was some story out there that Vince McMahon's been pushing for Roman Reigns to return. So that also, because you know, I took that with a grain of salt because of the source. But then, like right after Vince McMahon Twitter account announces that Roman Reigns is going to be on Raw, I don't know. It just makes me think.
How long ago was it that he made that announcement?
October. So October, November, December, January, February, 4 months.
Okay. I don't know what a projected timeline for leukemia is, so it's hard for me to like really speculate too much on this. It is interesting, obviously, that he did film that movie with The Rock recently.
In that time away.
And you know, and now this is happening, and it's just like, well, and we don't have any clue, you know, so like,
we don't know what treatment he's doing.
The only jumping off point that we have, or that I have at this point, is that he looked good when he was filming that movie, and now he's coming back to Raw. These all seem like positive things, so it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't even want to speculate, you know, to some extent, like, oh, maybe it's gone. Maybe the leukemia is gone. Totally. You know, like, I mean, because like that almost feels like, well, I haven't done any research on that and I have no clue. And having like had people in my life become affected by other things, you know, injuries or different illnesses, you always hope for the best, and then you do a little due diligence and you realize, oh, this is going to take a long time. So like there's part of me that's just like, I don't even want to like say what he's coming back for, because like I don't want to be like disrespectful to you know, that experience of something like leukemia.
Completely agree with you. And I've had family that was, you know, I've had a family member passed away from cancer and stuff like that. So I'm the same way. But you know, I like you said, you know, I shouldn't say that, because I don't think you can judge how well someone's doing with cancer just by like their looks, you know. But and 4 months does seem like a very short window.
That is how I feel too. You know, like 4 months is not that long of a time. Again, I don't know how these things go into remission, what that process is like, how much time that takes and everything, or
how deep in remission you need to be in order to continue,
where he was at, you know, if it, like, I mean, you know, because it's not like WWE superstars for the most part are people that are, you know, a lot of people in life don't see a doctor that often. I feel like WWE superstars are around medical professionals all the time.
Absolutely.
So like the idea that his leukemia, you know, whenever it came back, you know, I'm sure there's a high probability that it was caught as soon as it could possibly be caught, you know, in terms of just identifying that it was taking place. And he went into treatment right away, I'm sure, as well, too. So those are all good signs in terms of like, is 4 months too short? Feels like it, but maybe not.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that front. Yeah, and who knows? Like, he could have been, you know, he could have been doing certain treatments while he was in Hawaii the whole time filming. You never know.
Yeah.
I do.
How long was he filming for?
I don't know. They didn't really say.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, he's only been gone 4 months, and he was filming while he was gone. I mean, movies take a few months.
Oh, I mean, he's not.
Who knows how long? Yeah, his part could be
like,
small.
It could be like you know, just you know, essentially a setting or a location, you know, to introduce the, you know, Rock's character or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But although he's been there for a few weeks, which makes me think that he's doing something, that he's involved in some way, and at least not just like a one scene kind of role.
Maybe he's chilling there though too.
It's
I mean, people do
possible.
that. People do that in Hawaii.
People do chill in Hawaii.
They do.
I was saying, I've never been to Hawaii.
No?
No.
You got to make a trip, brother. You got to be like Kona Crush. Have you seen Kona Crush in any of those superstars from 1992?
No, I kind of stopped. Well, I haven't had time to like continue on.
Yeah.
I saw someone posting gifs though of Man Mountain Rock.
Yeah.
And I want to get to those episodes because that guy.
They
seems
only
cool.
have 1992 up, and they
Is
only
he not
have,
on there?
No, he's like Man Mountain Rock is like 94 or 95, I think.
That's right. So that's like right before I started watching.
Yeah, you know, he was
That
honestly
guy seemed cool. I
had like a 3-year lapse in between my watching between 92 and 95, which is why I just find that period of time so perplexing and weird. But like I remember when I came back in like late 95, mid 95 or so, because that's when Hogan and Savage were becoming big things in WCW again. So like we got back into wrestling because of them, but then I started watching WWF, and I remember seeing Man Mountain Rock and his crazy WWF guitar and everything. I can't recall watching him wrestle though. Actually,
yeah, me neither. Honestly,
I just remember him like head banging his head and like probably not even really playing that guitar.
I'd only really heard the name before, and then I saw the gifts, and I was like, "Whoa, that guy seems cool.
Dude,
I like that guy."
It's a dark time for gimmicks in that period of time. Like,
really is.
Like Mantar and other people like that. It's like, did they ever imagine like the WWE Championship on Bastion Booger? Like, what were they thinking?
I know, it's amazing that Undertaker lasted as long as he did.
I know. Like, I mean, and he was kind of like the beginning of those kinds of characters, but he just happened to have one with an edge, and he entered at a time when all like the legends were still there. It was like in 93, 94. It's like a really weird time. Quang, the original character played by Savio Vega.
Some good characters. I like them.
I love him now. Well, now when I watch 92, you know, 1992 era superstars, I'm really quite blown away by it because, like, I texted you guys about this the other day, but there was like this call between Mean Gene Okerlund after Nails beat up the Big Boss Man, and it was like just the audio of a call of a picture of me with a picture of Mean Gene and a picture of Big Boss Man. They were showing Boss Man's injuries, and you know, Mean Gene's interviewing him all real, you know, but still referring to him as Boss Man, even though it's a serious situation. But it's just like it's so interesting how the road that they tried to go down at that period of time and ultimately failed and floundered and everything like that. But now I look back, I'm like, I think they were just ahead of their time. I think a lot of like the things that they were going for, the weird characters that they were going for, might work better and now, like in this day and age.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that for sure.
I mean, if wrestlers showed up as Mantar now or that level of character, you'd be like, who the hell is this guy?
I don't know if a Mantar would really get over. You think quote from Elijah Bates, Mantar was ahead of its time.
Hey, Mantar would be over in 2019.
Do you really think Mantar would be over in 2019?
I think that literally a person pretending to be a bull would go over better in 2019 than it would in 1993.
Yeah, I think you have a point there.
I think people are tongue-in-cheek, meme-heavy, meta-reliant at this point, and I think that they'd be like, hey, this is so stupid, but I really like this character.
You know, I hate that I agree with you, but I do.
If a plumber character showed up right now, like a T.L. Hopper or like Dusty Rhodes style like plumber character showed up, I feel like it would be, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess the show would have to be a bit more like the Muppet Show in order to like play it like that.
I'm with you in terms of, because I actually told someone recently, someone asked me for like, what's the best way to like be relevant in wrestling right now, you think? And I was like, I think that people that go like hard on a gimmick and like adhere to it 24/7 on social media seem to be the ones that are like getting over the most. Like the MJFs where he's just a dick 24/7, or like Becky Lynch, she's a bitch 24/7, or they're just, and those aren't the best examples. PCO, like he's dead guy 24/7 or whatever. Like I think the people who are like going hard on gimmicks do seem to get over the most now. So
I mean, Sami Callihan
is Mantar. Is he dead?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I hope not.
Did they go to the glue factory? No.
To the glue factory?
Does that mean?
Did they send Mantars to make glue out of? They chop off Mantar didn't have hooves. Like, what are they going to make glue out of? His horns?
That's a good point. Yeah, sorry. No, he's alive. Okay.
Okay, thank God.
Imagine if he came back.
I guess.
Do you think Mantar as Mantar?
No.
So it can't be Mantar, like a PCO revival. It's got to be.
No, I don't know. It's not about the guy who portrayed Mantar. It's not a
gimmick.
gimmick of Mantar.
Oh, man. Someone should bring him back. Someone should do that.
Dude,
a pony gimmick.
Like if a person showed up and was like, I'm half man, half horse or something like that, you'd be like, well, I want to see you in the ring. How do you bounce off the ropes?
Okay, well, speaking of old school gimmicks, I think the biggest story of the week was the fact that the Hollywood Reporter put out a story saying that a Hulk Hogan biopic is in the works. It's going to be directed by Todd Phillips, who...
wow, really?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Todd Phillips, who is known for The Hangover. He's doing the Joker movie right now. Next movie after the Joker... with who's doing the Joker right now? What's his face?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Next movie is Chris Hemsworth as Hulk Hogan in a biopic for Netflix.
That's pretty crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, I mean, that's one of those things. The more that I learn about it, I'm just like, how did this even get put together? Like, this is incredible.
I sent the article to Eli like right when we posted it, and I could just feel his like, oh boy, like his excitement through the computer.
I was more just shocked that they were doing it. Like, I mean, like,
but I can feel your excitement through the computer.
Well,
too.
I'm stoked. Like, I like Chris Hemsworth a lot. Like, I mean, Hogan should feel stoked that there's somebody of his caliber is actually going to portray him and everything. And not only that, but somebody who's been reputable in a lot of his films, particularly in portraying Thor, is somebody who will put on some bulk and put on some mass for the role too, which is clearly going to require to portray Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, I did a side-by-side for the article of Hemsworth as Thor, because that's got to be when he was at his most jacked.
Yeah.
Alongside Hulk, and he's still not quite at that 24-inch.
No, Hulk.
Like 24-inch pythons are huge.
Hulk was especially as you got into like the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s. Hulk was like a behemoth. He was a presence. The dude must have been like 350 pounds.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to end at Andre. That's my guess.
You think so?
Well, because it says that it's gonna. The reports suggest that the movie will focus on Terry Bollea's transformation into Hulkster and the rise of Hulkamania in the '80s.
Yeah,
it's not going to cover his later life, not Gawker, none of the racist stuff.
That's sequel territory. Not even all the stuff you just said. You completely glossed over his entire WCW career with the NWO. It's like that.
But that's not going to be a movie. You think they're going to do I like how in your eyes they're going to do a whole franchise out of the Hulk Hogan.
I was going to say, why limit it to a
story?
Trilogy? Like, let's keep this going. Like, I mean,
you got to cover Thunder in Paradise too. Do a whole mini series on Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah.
I watched that show as a kid.
No, me too. It was awesome.
It was a cool show.
It was Hulk Hogan in a magical boat.
Yeah, I feel like that show People talk crap on it, but it was cool.
There was this Disney movie from like that I watched growing up called Condor Man, and in it, like he has like this cool. Oh, dude, I'll let you borrow it. I can't believe you haven't seen Condor Man. It's
like you can tell that I didn't understand it.
No, Condor Man is epic. It's
Condor Man?
I'll let you borrow it and you can watch it and
this guy does look cool.
You'll be blown away. It's about a dude who creates a comic book character and then he tries to become him. And the comic book character, I mean, that's a really bad synopsis that I just gave you. But there's espionage in it. There's crazy cars, boat chases, flying with his crazy contraption. It's awesome.
Does look kind of cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. A double. Nobody ever was a double. Find that. Make it a triple. I love Condor Man.
I feel like maybe 5 people listening or watching this understood that reference.
Anybody who gets the reference is totally stoked right now because Condor Man is awesome. How did I get off onto Condor Man?
Something about Hulk Hogan. Would he make an appearance in that movie?
Oh, because Condor Man had a magical car with like lots of cool stuff, and Hulk Hogan had a magical boat.
We were talking about Thunder in Paradise.
Right.
Got it. Okay, good. Also, Eric. Okay, so when I first heard the news, I was like, oh, this could be cool. But I do wonder if, because Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff's a producer on the movie. Mm-hmm. Hulk is a consultant on the movie. Do you think that they can still make a proper Hulk Hogan movie with his involvement? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I feel like one of the
you.
things when I watched Bohemian Rhapsody, we made a joke about it, Vinny and I, but I feel like we didn't really, only because he and I had joked about it so many times sitting next to each other. But with Bohemian Rhapsody, because Queen was so heavily involved with it, you could feel that while watching the movie, and it didn't necessarily feel like. Even though it won awards and it's nominated,
didn't feel as honest as it could be because it wasn't. It was a subjective perspective.
Even Straight Outta Compton, Straight Outta Compton left a lot of things out because of the
fact.
So are they not going to put steroids and cocaine in this movie? Like Hulk Hogan,
I could see like steroids being in it. Cocaine, no. Like they're not going to put I mean they'll be implied.
It was the '80s and WWE.
Well,
man.
I'll say it like this: they ain't going to show Hulk Hogan doing any of that stuff in the movie. Like it may be implied that he was part of it, but they're going to show other wrestlers doing it because they can.
Scene like him doing lines and then pumping it in the gym and then turning to the camera and telling people to say your prayers and eat your vitamins. You know he was doing that.
They're not going to do that.
But he was doing that. It'd be a way cooler movie.
Hey, they were all doing that.
Yeah.
Like that was wrestling.
Yeah.
That was the squared circle.
That's why I want to see it.
Yeah. So I think that, but again, I think that you will see it, just not being injected into him and stuff like that. It won't be him doing it. And they may make a joke about him doing it and stuff like that. But like they're probably going to.
And there'll probably be like a scene of him partying too hard once and doing it maybe once.
Or just like, dude, like they don't need to show him doing it. They're going to be like, just show the Warlord injecting or somebody like that.
They gotta. If steroids aren't involved in the story whatsoever, that'd be ridiculous.
Well, it just depends on like what's the tone of this movie going to be, Like,
true.
Because you have like the director of The Hangover, and and Old School, and many other films.
And Bradley Cooper is a producer on the movie.
Okay, and so
which is interesting because Bradley Cooper was rumored to be in talks with WWE Studios, and I forget the other studio they're working with on the Vince McMahon biopic.
Right.
But he was rumored to be talking to them about playing Vince in the Vince McMahon biopic Pandemonium.
Yeah.
Which hasn't really had a lot of movement since it was announced.
I haven't heard anything about it.
No. And now suddenly a Hulk Hogan story pops up, and Bradley Cooper's attached to that officially, which I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm almost wondering if like Coop if he's just he's tiptoeing around the Vince McMahon idea,
Maybe. Like I'm down with that.
I think he'd be a good Vince. He's got after watching A Star Is Born, he's got that. He can change his voice up. He can do the gravelly Vince voice.
I think so too. I think, and not only that, but like it doesn't have to be exactly like I mean, the Hulk Hogan character for sure has got to sound like Hulk Hogan.
Which I wonder. I mean, obviously, if he's already attached to the project, they probably heard him do the voice already. Yeah. But I can't think of and maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen every Chris Hemsworth movie.
Yeah,
but he largely does his Australian voice, right? Like he doesn't really act with an American accent, right?
I'm sure he can. I can't recall a movie off the top of my head. I'm more looking forward to him sporting Hulk Hogan's iconic hairstyle. Like I can't wait to see Hemsworth like that.
Let's see. Is there?
I'm
trying to see if there's a video of him speaking with an American accent, but it doesn't seem.
I can't recall one off the top of my head that's super memorable. What about in Ghostbusters, the most recent one?
He has an Australian accent there too.
Does he? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because it even says Chris Hemsworth on using his Aussie accent in Ghostbusters. That's all I was able to find on him speaking with an American accent. So, I mean, Chris Hemsworth doesn't need to speak with an American accent. Look at the guy.
No.
He's going to get any role he wants.
Also, I think because Hulk Hogan's voice is a pretty distinct, gruff, almost cartoon-like voice, I think that he'll be able to pull it off even if his American accent's not perfect or something like that, because he's not doing an American accent, he's doing Hulk Hogan. You know, it's like, it's one thing if I was like, hey, do, you know, like a New Yorker accent, and you'd be like, well, what is that even? And then if I was like, hey, just do Christopher Walken.
True.
You know, you're going to nail
do an Australian accent, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. And you were like, well, do Crocodile Dundee. And I'd be like,
you do lines of Crocodile Dundee. Hulk Hogan's the same way.
True.
You know something, brother. You know, like, I mean, like Chris Hemsworth can do that.
Oh, man, that's going to be so weird.
I can't wait.
I know, me too.
Like, you know what? And I got to say, I'm a little surprised by the hugely positive reaction to this, because a lot of people have been hating on Hulk Hogan a lot with with reasoning behind it. And I feel like everybody's reacting super positive to this movie's announcement.
Well, you know, I mean, I handle the social media for the site, so I see a lot of the quote tweets, and there was definitely like a lot of like, not my movie I'll be watching, that kind of stuff, like not interested in that movie and stuff. So I saw it. But it's interesting, you know, I also saw WWE post a story about it on WWE.com. Which makes me think that they're maybe involved as well.
Do you think that this is them attempting to make this movie and being like okay with it so that they can't make that Vince McMahon movie?
I was wondering that.
Like, because I mean, that's a good way to scuttle that Vince McMahon movie forever, is to make this movie that's basically taking a lot of those elements but putting their gloss over it.
And they get to bring Hulk Hogan back in the spotlight, because Vince McMahon doesn't care about himself being in this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe deep down inside he wants that respect from Hollywood. But
I would also say, you know, back to your topic of like, is it going to be an honest portrayal of Hulk Hogan? I don't know, but I do know that I feel like Todd Phillips is somebody who's been given the opportunity a lot to have creative control over his projects. I feel like the most recent Joker movie, everything I've read about it sounds like they've got kind of like a real tight, different story that they're going with, that they're being given a lot of leeway. So hopefully, you know, the thought is that Todd Phillips is given enough control that he's able to tell like to make a movie about this without kind of the biased view of, let's say, Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Vince McMahon, and the WWE.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think you're right.
Like, I think a true artist would fight that fight.
I don't think I knew. You know, he's got some good movies.
Who?
Todd Phillips. Like, I didn't realize he directed Road Trip too. I loved Road Trip as a kid.
Road Trip was genius.
Road Trip was such a good movie.
I wonder if Road Trip holds up like to the test of time. I wonder if there's anything in it that wouldn't be cool in this day and age. Like, that wouldn't be PC.
I feel like maybe PC wise, but I know that I wonder if Tom Green would be as funny to someone now, who wasn't as familiar with Tom Green then, if they'd find the Tom Green shtick funny, you know, because I love Tom Green so much.
Everybody in our generation did. Like, I mean, Tom Green was so different and offensive, and it made you uncomfortable watching it and everything. And he, like, for a couple of years, he was king. He was on top.
Oh, dude, Tom Green was the best, dude. When he did that, like the Undercutter's Pizza thing, or when he had like the statues of his parents having sex in the front yard.
Where's my dinner statue?
That's the best. The Where's my dinner statue? Oh man, I love Tom Green, but the whole mouse stuff in the movie might not be as funny. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I'm thinking about it right now, and I think that, you know, like I don't know. It'd be interesting to see the banter between the four dudes and to see if there was anything in that would get called out in this day and age too.
I feel like I bet you there's if it's not Todd Phillips, but I bet you in Tom Green world, I feel like Freddy Got Fingered has to have some offensive ass stuff in it.
It already was offensive.
He tweeted the other day something like, it was like some anniversary of the movie. Like, do you ever use any quotes from this? And I was like, oh man, I used to say all the time, like, every time I'd see a Chrysler LeBaron, it'd be like, well, Daddy didn't get you a Chrysler LeBaron, did he? I used to love that movie. But yeah, he made Old School too. Old School, Road Trip, Starsky and Hutch, which also kind of an underrated movie. I'm just gonna say it.
It's not for me, but I'm glad you like it.
Hangover, Due Date was Hangover 2, 3.
What was Due Date?
Wasn't that the one with Robert Downey Jr. and and Zach Galifianakis?
That one was okay.
It's all right. Wait, he was also a producer on Taxi Cab Confessions back in the day?
Wow.
That's throwback.
Yeah, that's way throwback.
That's a way throwback. I haven't heard that in... Oh, man, I used to watch that when I was a kid for sure. But as far as the movie is concerned, I was wondering the same thing. Like when I saw all this, I was thinking, I wonder if the Vince movie just transformed because of the Bradley Cooper thing.
Yeah. Because
we know they want to, like, WWE has a vested interest in making the Hulk Hogan name profitable again. I could see them being like, well, what if we just rework the script to...
Yeah, no,
and don't you remember when the movie first got announced? Remember Linda did that interview right afterwards? I almost forgot about it, so you might not remember, but I remember Linda did an interview right after the fact with someone, and she was like, oh, yeah, that movie probably will never happen, or whatever. And it was like, wait, but WWE Studios is involved. I don't know. I just feel like they're going to transform it.
Yeah.
They don't want Linda doing the BJs in the stand scene. They want, like, Hulk Hogan.
No, they're, like, again, like, if WWE is involved, like, look at it's a benefit to them in two ways. They can put their... If it's not focusing on the negatives of Vince McMahon as much in the movie, or maybe if it focuses more on Hulk Hogan and more about like a heroic rise to stardom through the crazy world of professional wrestling, let's say, because that's a more fun movie. A story that gets a little bit more into like the drug use and things like that. We've seen that movie already. That's the Wrestler.
Yeah.
And so, but WWE... can make it so that it's not a negative bent towards wrestling, and also they can put their footage in the film then too,
totally,
and and allow their IP to be used.
And I'm assuming it's similar to like Fighting with a Family, where they saw like, hey, if we do like a good movie, we'll get everyone will be pumped about it, like as opposed to like a crappy movie that no one cares about. So I think that's maybe why I could see them wanting to be involved for sure.
That totally makes sense to me.
I love the story I put up today where Iron Sheik said he wants to play himself in the movie.
Yeah, of course.
It's the best.
Like, I mean...
I love Iron Sheik.
The dude can barely walk, but why not let him try?
Exactly. Why not? Yeah. Why not?
Mocap.
What else? I had one more thing I wanted to say about that movie. I'm trying to look up there was something in here. Do you think... Because of his past, not past, the controversy surrounding Hulk Hogan, do you think there is some risk involved here, though?
I mean, so far it seems to be a super positive reaction, and I think that, there is some risk involved because there is still negative opinion towards Hulk Hogan, but I will say that the negative opinion, I think, it already has begun to wane. It's already kind of in a waning period. Just again, based off of even your reaction to this, and like you're not reacting as heavily towards it. And that's not to say
I'm not like angry about the movie.
Yeah,
I just like good movies.
Yeah.
So like I get it. Like I don't think Hulk Hogan's a racist.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a racist. So it's not like I think this movie should like. In the script, have Hulk Hogan like calling Virgil the N-word backstage or something like that to play off that. I just think that I just want an honest movie. That's all.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want it to be a WWE like fluff piece.
Yeah.
Like
I get that.
And Chris Hemsworth being involved does make me think it's not.
Chris Hemsworth and Todd Phillips being involved gives me a lot of hope.
And there's not even a script apparently. Like it's more just like a pitch.
Okay.
Is how it seems.
The WWE will definitely get involved. They're like, we got to get in. Him and Hulk are just gonna like no holds barred style, just like hole up in a hotel room and just bang it out.
Old times.
Yeah.
Got this 8-ball.
Yeah.
We got this whole 8-ball, Vince. Let's do this.
We're getting the band back together.
The thing I was gonna say, I remembered now, was I tweeted this morning, and it's because of you actually that I've always had this idea of like, I feel like a way better wrestling story that I would like to see Hollywood make one day. Is the story of Toots Mondt, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such an easy sell for Hollywood of like the guy and his group of friends who like decided to make wrestling.
That's
like
the type of story too. It's like you don't need to spend a ton of money to make that movie. Like that would be a really easy one to tell. You could have tons of crazy characters in it. Like you could make up all the characters if you needed to.
Literally, that could be the most loose, based on a true story of all time.
Yeah.
Like just like the general idea that these are the guys who decided to like.
What would you call it? Hey Toots. Toots.
Tootsie? Oh wait, no, I can't do that. I'll have to think of that. I'm not sure.
Toots E. Mont.
I'll let that one sink in for a second while I think a little bit longer. Okay, so the other big story of the week is Tye Dillinger. Tye Dillinger announced that he has requested his release from WWE. He put out a statement. Excuse me, everyone. He put out a statement that said, Before rumors begin to spread, let me set things straight ahead of time. This evening, I requested my release from WWE. In the past 5.5 years with them, I have seen and done some wonderful things that I'm very proud of and will never forget. I've met and worked with unquestionably some of the greatest talent on this earth, and the pleasure has been all mine. I feel at this time, this decision, as extremely difficult as it was, is what is best for myself and WWE. I wish to continue to grow as a performer and offer those paying hard-earned money to watch a show I'm performing on a little more of myself. To the male and female locker rooms, coaches and producers, to the production/ring crew, all the way up to the very top of WWE, and most of all the fans, I wish you all the very best and thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything.
So what happens when somebody requests the release like this? Do they just go home?
Basically. Well, not necessarily. It depends on who it is.
Yeah.
You know, like the Revival did, and they still were like, no, we want you back on the road.
Yeah.
Hideo Itami did, and they granted it.
Yeah.
Mike Kanellis, only Mike Kanellis apparently, requested it, and they've still had him be on the road occasionally.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other ones who are the people who were recently asked for it. There's one more I'm leaving out. Or is that 5? I think that was 5. Anyways, so those ones... I really think it's a case-by-case basis, you know? Because you could, I mean, in theory, right, like some have done, you can not come back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like they can't force you to come.
Yeah.
But then they can force you to sit out your contract, and it's a whole thing, and it's a whole thing.
Like you still get paid? Like how does that work? Like I don't understand. Like that's the
I think
like I mean, because feasibly then somebody could be like, I know I just signed this 5-year contract.
And now I'm sitting at home.
But I'm sitting
never
at home
coming
and
back.
getting my downside for the next 5 years.
I think...
I'd like to know what the common procedure is, or if there is one, you know, if
I
possible.
think it's a case-by-case... I really think it's just a case-by-case basis. I really do think it's like... Because in theory, if that were to happen, I'm sure they would just cut him.
Yeah.
But there have been ones where they just let him sit on the sidelines for a long time, like a Rey Mysterio or Pac.
Yeah.
Where they just kind of sat on the sidelines. So I really think it's a case-by-case basis.
Interesting.
But with Tye, you know, with Tye, I'm guessing there's no... What day is today? It's almost Friday. There's no way they're gonna grant it this week.
Yeah.
Because if they grant it this week, he could be at Double or Nothing.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know. Obviously, people will say, "Oh well, no, they don't." You know, like it's just Tye Dillinger. Why would they care? Of course they care. Like they care.
Yeah.
Obviously they care.
No,
you know?
because they can grant it
whenever they want.
A few days later and make sure that he can't be there.
Yeah, they can just do it Monday and he can't be there.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that, you know, I remember listening with Pac, when we were talking about the Pac situation. I'm about to sneeze, sorry, but with the Pac situation, there was a...
Want me to punch you in the face?
No. With the Pac situation, there was I forgot where I was going with that. The whole sneeze threw me off.
I know, it'll happen, man.
Oh,
Pac release situation.
Yeah, I mean, like when we were discussing the Pac release situation, I remember I was listening to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, and he was saying that like you don't release a talent when they want to be released. You release a talent when you're done with them.
Yeah,
you know. So that's my guess. Is that's something he has heard Vince say many a time.
Yeah,
and that seems to be the MO of Vince. I mean, obviously, putting something out there like this doesn't help the situation.
Yeah. Also, like it's, you know what it feels like? It feels like I don't know if this is something I've ever actually felt, but like somebody who's like broke up with his girlfriend and then texted his family immediately after with like this thing's like, hey, just want to let you know we broke up. I'm gonna be okay. Da 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 da. That's kind of what this feels like. It's like, hey, Tye, like, chill.
You know, I honestly was
like chill and see if you get your release first before you put this out in the ether. Like,
I feel like he was trying to go for a Cody-like move because Cody did the same thing when he quit.
Yeah,
remember, like Cody, exact 2-page long statement. It looked the same similarly.
What if you checked the formats and everything? Like it has the same exact character count.
Oh, I should. No, I shouldn't.
Like, he just plagiarizes, like uses Cody's template. It's like a resume template.
But they, it was similarly done. I think that he was trying to follow a similar path.
Yeah.
I think.
But like I don't like. I'm not as active on Twitter, obviously, but I can't recall when Cody put in his release if he was tweeting a lot of things that would allude to him doing something along those lines.
No,
like Tye Dillinger's been making a lot of noise lately.
Totally.
Before
he retweeted the AEW announcement.
That and just like saying that he tried to go back to NXT, things like that. Like
he literally tweeted the other day saying that he had done all he could do in WWE, had no more dream opponents left.
Yeah. And so, it's just stuff like that where it's just like, well, you're already being vocal before you let out, like, this classy move and everything like that. So it feels a little produced, I guess, best way to put it.
I don't think... I'm trying to remember that. I'm trying to take myself back to then. I remember Cody had a private... Not a private... I think it was private, but he, accepted everyone. But if I recall, he had, a private Twitter page for a long time, like that Hyrule Husky one or something like that. And that's where he put it on. It was like his personal Twitter page that he would kind of tweet for fun off of. I believe, but I don't think he was complaining a lot at the time. He wasn't really one to be vocal at the time. He was much less vocal at the time, if I recall.
No, that's
when he became vocal.
I think that Cody has always been somebody, even when he was in WWE, is vocal about what he wanted to achieve, but not about what he wasn't able to achieve. You know what I mean?
He still feels that way.
Yeah.
I feel like he never he doesn't seem publicly to talk about the things that he's unhappy about. It's more so the highlighting the positives.
The positives, what he's going for, what he's seeking to achieve, and things like that. It is good because even if it comes across as a little bit combative towards other, towards the WWE, let's say at certain points, it never is it's not condescending. It always feels like, well, he believes in this though too.
Yep, absolutely.
Not just oh, I didn't get to achieve what I wanted with you, so now I'm going to do it through this thing. It's more just we're going to turn this thing into a big, huge thing.
Totally, absolutely. I mean, that's why I even like his theme song. It's kind of the point of his whole theme song.
Yeah,
which is why it's my favorite theme song. I think. But okay, so it's another thing I just was thinking of while we were talking about this is that I find it really interesting still that WWE put out a statement about Dean Ambrose saying he's not going to sign a new contract.
Yeah.
But not a statement about Tye Dillinger, who has now publicly said he requested his release. So much bigger story than sources saying that Dean Ambrose wasn't going to re-sign.
Yeah.
Also, not re-signing isn't that crazy. What?
No, it's not. It's
not
normal.
Something any company would ever disclose.
So you're just you're
just offering information about someone's contract.
Do you I feel like
and then Hideo, they showed on 205. They did that weird 205 Live thing where the whole roster said thank you to him. Everybody said thank you to him. Still no statement saying he's been released from his contract.
Yeah.
Well, what am I missing here? Why did they announce that Dean Ambrose isn't going to resign?
You think it's all just a work?
I haven't been able to confirm that, but the reporter in me is very confused.
He's been on TV a lot.
They even completely went against the heel turn and just acted like it was something that happened in his mind.
Yeah. He did lose pretty unceremoniously this past week, though.
No, that was 2 weeks ago. Wasn't? Oh, against Drew McIntyre. Yeah, you're right.
To the point where it's just that doesn't make a ton. I don't know what story they're trying to tell with him. If they're
they did that thing afterwards where it showed that he was crazy. Remember,
True.
I did think it was supposed to. I was assuming it was supposed to play into that storyline where he lost, but it's because he's literally just multiple personalities.
I have no clue what the hell they'd be trying to do with this at this point. If it's a work, what's the story here?
I don't know.
Unless they're just trying something different and just going for it and Ambrose was down with it. He seems like somebody who might be down to try something crazy and weird.
That's the vibe I got. What if they were hey, this is a thing we're going to play off of because everybody thinks everybody's leaving for All Elite Wrestling. I don't know. That's just me conspiracy theory guy.
it's interesting.
It wouldn't surprise
And not
me.
only that, but like that's something that will continue to be interesting the closer that he gets to his, quote unquote contract ending. And so like people are going to be intrigued to see him show up. Every single time I see him show up, I'm curious what they're going to do with Dean Ambrose right now. And that's why even when he lost this past week, I was just kind of like, at first I was just like, oh, like it's just weird and perplexing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, also with Tye Dillinger, I saw a lot of people saying the two things I kept seeing everyone say, well, I thought All Elite Wrestling is going to highlight new young talent, not WWE castaways or cast-offs or whatever. But I feel like that's such a narrow-minded way of thinking.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously they want to highlight younger talent, but they still need to fill out a roster.
Yeah,
they still need hands. They still need agents. They still need people.
Like it will be interesting if they have a couple names on their roster that people know if they haven't been following the indie scene. Like again, that's why Chris Jericho's a huge thing for their rosters because people in all walks of wrestling, all wrestling fans know who Chris Jericho is.
Well, and on that same point, everyone knows who the Hardy Boys are, and Matt Hardy tweeted today saying that he has 11 days left on his contract. And from what I've heard, they're in talks to see if, they can come to an agreement on the contract option that they have. But if they don't come to an agreement, that's another one where I feel like the Hardy Boys would be I'm shocked that WWE is not bending over backwards to keep the Hardy Boys right now.
Jeff?
Well, Jeff is also, they signed at the same time, but Jeff is also 11 days away. And they're both talking to WWE about their contract option, but neither of them have officially signed anything yet. It's 11 days away.
Yeah, that's really close.
That's close.
Yeah.
Jeff has been used to he's been used well.
He's been in main events and
stuff, but I wouldn't say
they've never pushed Jeff Hardy back to the level where he was ever in contention for a championship.
And I don't think they've maximized the Hardy name since they brought them back.
Not really. It's more just again, a lot of people, have accused the WWE, and rightfully so, of locking people up into contracts to make sure nobody else can use them. And the Hardys are huge in that regard because they were being well used before that.
They were the hottest thing in wrestling at the time, and they kind of diminished Matt's role to nothing.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Yes, they did this one deletion thing. Yes, they did a special, but it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
They've been there.
It's crazy that nobody. Even Jeff Jarrett pulled the same thing when he got put back in charge of TNA or Impact Creative too, and basically diminished the role of Matt Hardy. It's just why does that keep happening to Matt?
And Matt is in touch with the internet audience.
Yeah.
Matt's always been in touch with the internet audience. That's his specialty.
Yeah.
I would think, man, not only would Matt Hardy be an asset creatively, as behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff for an All Elite Wrestling, but on-screen presence as well. If they could do some of those deletion things, if they could finally do the Hardy Boys versus Young Bucks deletion thing that was going to happen in TNA years ago, people would love that.
Absolutely.
So I found that kind of interesting.
That would be big business.
Right?
That would be huge business.
And
they could show up at that Double or Nothing.
And that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. So that's why I'm just shocked that it's that WWE's not maybe they're doing more than I know, but I would think they'd be going full court press on that one.
Yeah, it is a little surprising. Unless they don't want to re-sign with them.
Maybe. They're aggressively trying to get people to sign contracts.
Yeah.
Some people weren't even done with their 5-year deal. Not 5-year deals. Some people had a good amount of time left on their deals, and they're like, "Hey, here's a new 5-year deal."
Here's a new 5 years from right now.
Yeah. And raises and stuff like that. So
it's hard to say no to that.
But I will say, from what I've heard, there are some big names who instantly signed. And I'm still trying to confirm all of them, but from what I've heard, there's definitely some good names that were what? New 5-year deal, raises?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
There you go. But
especially if it was your dream to be there and you were enjoying it. It's why wouldn't you do that?
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
But there are some who have not instantly signed it, and those are the ones I'm tracking a little more closely right now. But There are some who have not instantly signed their contracts.
Like big ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
But their deals aren't up anytime soon.
But
they
it's
also
not signing a new
they're not
contract.
signing this new ones that are being offered their way, which is why I'm like still tracking them because I want to see how they.
Damn, that's
how it
crazy that
progresses.
they'd be so aggressive about it that they're just like, hey, we don't want this new wrestling organization to survive out of the gate, so let's lock everybody up.
And I will say this much too.
Yeah.
It's not just necessarily because of All Elite Wrestling. They also got a ton of money from Fox for this new Fox deal. And I'm sure Fox was like, hey, here's this extra money. Go lock down these big stars.
Yeah, make sure you've got all these
This
guys.
is part of the deal. Just make sure you have all these guys when you come over in October or whatever. I think that plays a big part as well.
Yeah. I would also say
But
it's not just
I think
it's
the
not
All Elite Wrestling also plays a part. If it wasn't there, they wouldn't be giving aggressive raises.
I would also add it's AEW just pushed it, to a breaking point.
Yes.
Wrestling industry was already getting that way to where like they needed to be a little bit more aggressive about locking people up because other people had money to offer now all of a sudden. So like AEW did definitely, straw that broke a camel's back, but it's like it was already going that direction. If it wasn't AEW, there like probably would have been another big thing that came around. It's just like it's only a amount of time that somebody else with a lot of money sees that the wrestling industry is like popping right now and wants to invest some money in it and make a ton more.
Absolutely. Okay, so the other big story this week, they were all big stories. They really were big stories this week. And that was Chyna getting to go in the Hall of Fame with DX. We talked about it. I wasn't expecting it, but Roka super called me out on the show on our Raw recap this week because he was super Team Chyna. Well, Team Chyna's social media guy. I shouldn't say Team Chyna, but he was kind of one of those people that was of the belief that it was disrespectful to Chyna's legacy to not have her go in
as by
solo
herself.
singles, as a singles act
performer.
performer.
Yeah, people are entitled to believe that, and they're not wrong. Chyna by herself accomplished a lot outside of like the spectrum of DX. And, and I think, you give it a couple more years, like they probably will induct her by herself too. But it's almost like, you get in it, like, let's say another 10 years and, decisions she may have made after her wrestling career that are maybe frowned upon by people in the industry now, such as her, time in the adult industry, let's say. I think that the perspective of society changes decade by decade, or maybe even sooner or quicker than that nowadays, where people are able to look at something a lot more objectively. I think somebody will be able to look at Chyna's place, let's say, in the year 2000, and be able to identify that, like, women were in a much different position there altogether. Like, I think they'll be able to see how she tried to empower herself in a world controlled by men specifically, and ultimately, fell to that world in a lot of ways too. But I think that people will be able to look at her career in 10 years and be a lot more sympathetic to anything that they may look down upon now, because they realize that she was not necessarily in the best, in the best opportunity, let's say.
Yeah, I do think that. Yeah, it wasn't easy for her to do what she did.
No.
And it did fuck with her head.
Yeah.
She had a rough go with it afterwards.
She had a rough life.
Yeah.
If you, I read Chyna's biography that the WWE put out. And I can't recall the specifics of her early life at this point, but she had a hard life, and she had a hard life her whole life too. And so I think that, again, I think people, even let's say her experiences in the adult industry, those are a big deal to people who, let's say, didn't grow up with the internet, because they weren't, exposed to the adult industry on the level that somebody born in the year 2000 and is now, gaining access to a computer full time or something like that. I'm not trying to say like everybody's a porn junkie nowadays, but I think that people will be a hell of a lot more sympathetic or understanding of somebody taking an opportunity like that.
I don't think any wrestling fan holds the porno thing against her.
Well, I think
there's only one person who holds a porno thing against her, and it's Vince, because she made a porno where she had sex with Vince and every other wrestler. I mean, that's really, in my opinion, that's where the crux of all of this is. It's not about her adult industry, her foray into porn. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's not about the reality TV.
Said it was a mockery of them.
Said it was a mockery of them. She literally, tried to make them look bad. And I know Bruno Sammartino's done the same thing. Warrior's done the same thing. Well, not. I should rephrase that. They both weren't in pornos. Don't go searching for Bruno Sammartino's sex tape, please. But I mean, in terms of like trying to make WWE look bad. I mean, that was Bruno's thing for a while.
Yeah, it's just with making them it's one thing for Bruno to be audible in any like news forum that he can or any opportunity but it was like
she made money. She
made money off of it. It was in an industry that is looked down upon by a segment of the wrestling audience,
by a segment of the country,
a segment of society.
Yeah, society.
And so like I understand, and it was a personal attack too. I think in a lot of ways, I think even Bruno going off on Vince a lot of times was going off more about the culture of wrestling and that Vince McMahon was in charge of it, less than he was like. And I know he said a lot of negative stuff about Vince and to Vince and stuff like that, but I feel like it was more about wrestling than it was. Yeah. Whereas hers was like, hey, this is clearly just like, a stick in their craw.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just a nice choice of words for the topic. But yes, absolutely. The
light just went on, by the way.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't think that it should be held against her, but I also at the same time can see the bigger picture, understand that like, look, if that were me, I'd probably like be hesitant to do that, you know? But at the same time, like, of course she should go in by herself one day. I feel like when Vince McMahon's not around, that'll happen, to be honest with you. I feel like he holds the biggest grudge. If anything, I'm sure Hunter and Stephanie understand.
Yeah.
Like, when you've got an ex and like you were kind of messed them over a little bit and then they do something out of anger, you kind of understand. You're like, I kind of was a dick too.
I deserved it.
I deserved it.
Or this is just what happens.
Totally. And especially if they passed away now, like obviously I feel like it's crazy to think that she won't be honored solo one day too. And obviously I honestly think that the ceremony itself is going to pay heavy tribute to Chyna when they're all there.
That's what I was thinking as well too. Like I know they know that there's going to be an objectionary reaction to them putting her in as part of a group. It does take care of it for a period of time, because and they will, I think, pay her like her respect and everything like that. But I mean, there's other things about it where it's just like it sucks that I think this is where people come from. It's like, hey, she won the Intercontinental Championship. She's the only woman who's ever done that before.
But didn't she win it in that Good Housekeeping match?
Yeah, but
that's tough.
No, but here's what I'm saying though. That has nothing to do with DX.
No, I know. But for her solo run is what I'm saying.
Well, I know
it's tough to talk about her winning the Intercontinental Championship without bringing up like really bad stuff.
Oh, I don't think so. Like I think that there is a lot of stuff, but I think even the Good Housekeeping match could be. They can paint that picture positively. Because Jeff Jarrett was the one who was pushing for this Good Housekeeping match, and she beat him.
All right.
Like, so it was his idea. It was a man's idea that a woman belongs in the kitchen, and she showed him. That's a story of empowerment right there.
Eli's a writer, so he's good at these kinds of things, But
what
still,
can I say? No, I mean, it's just like I'm confident in their ability to spin that in the most empowering way. They're really good at spinning stories.
Yeah, I saw X-Pac talk about this Chyna stuff too, and he said, it's not that I don't feel. It's not that I don't feel worthy because I do understand. Oh, wait, no. Where's the part about Chyna? As far as Joni is concerned, there are a lot of people that aren't satisfied with this because obviously she's worthy of going in by herself. And for a lot of people, this wasn't good enough. I would just encourage them to take the win. A win doesn't always come exactly how you want it to, but it's a win nonetheless. And anyone who doesn't think so, I don't even know what to tell them.
Well, because there's part of it, too. It's just like, even asking X-Pac that question, to ask him that is a little disrespectful, because then it's like, hey, he's going in with this group too.
That's exactly what I said to Roka. I said, I get it. But then at the same time, do you think that Triple H shouldn't go in by himself? Do you think that X-Pac shouldn't go by himself one day? Do you think the New Age Outlaws shouldn't go in as a tag team one day? You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Like they all are influential.
Yeah.
They all are influential. They all will probably go in solo, tag team solo,
Yeah.
They'll probably all go in.
Yeah.
So
and I would assume that those guys will be stoked, to like go in together because they did something cool together too.
That's what X-Pac said. In the interview, X-Pac said, I can give two shits about going in on my own. If you ask me what my choice is, go in on my own or go in with, like I said, more than once, with the people I had the greatest time in my life with, I'm going to pick going in with them every single time you ask me.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the sentiment, okay, but there's only so many slots every year, and there are so many deserving people. Can we just enjoy and accept the win? It's a win for Joni. She's going to be in the Hall of Fame forever, and they can never take that away from her, and she deserves it. Her family's extremely excited too, blah, blah. But he said the same thing, like, yeah, of course I know I feel like I should go in one day, but, like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like there was too much anger over it, and there's a lot of people should have been excited too, a little bit, to somewhat degree. Even her social media person was like still tweeting, "Let Chyna in," and it was like,
chill.
She's going in.
She's going in.
You're tweeting that the day they announced she's going in.
She's going in.
It's just
like,
she is going in.
And it's just like there's part of me also that's like, hey, I'm like I would agree that all these people deserve to go in individually, or the New Age Outlaws as a tag team, let's say. But there's a lot of other people that deserve to go in as well. And what this allows is that it opens up some spots for other people to go into the Hall of Fame then, too.
Yeah, I meant the same thing I mentioned.
I don't know if they're going to just do a smaller amount of inductees or something like that.
No, they'll probably still put the same amount, because they did the Four Horsemen that one year, and it was no different.
Yeah.
It was still the same, if I recall, right?
I believe so, yes.
Which is kind of what I mentioned to Roka. I was like, were you mad that Arn Anderson isn't in by himself? That he's in with just the Four Horsemen? He was like, well, that's different. And I was like, not really. No, it's kind of the same thing.
It's very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah.
I liked knowing that if you agree the New Age Outlaws should go into the Hall of Fame one day as a tag team.
Yeah.
Because that, you know what that means?
What?
That means you too believe that Billy Gunn is a legend.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Tito got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2004.
But older, different. But I'm just saying, that means you technically, if you agree that as in with DX and he should go in as New Age Outlaws, two-timer. Also, if he was a two-timer, that'd be more Hall of Fame spots
now I'm against
than
this.
Tito.
Now I'm fully against the New Age Outlaws going in just to thwart your argument
just
here.
to thwart my argument completely?
No, they don't need but they're stoked anyway, so they're cool, Ryan. They don't need to go in twice.
Do you think though that they'll go in twice?
The New Age Outlaws?
Yeah.
I would say for all of these people, like Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, let's say, I believe they were going to be the only two-time Hall of Fame inductees. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
because they are
legends,
beyond legends.
Yeah.
They are icons of the industry. The New Age Outlaws are not at that level.
I honestly.
Like they're always gonna
I'm thinking like when I'm like in 20 years from now status. Like when they're old. Like I could see them all. Like I could see New Age Outlaws.
I will say that
like when they're like the age that the Rock and Roll Express are right now.
I'm more cool with DX going in than with the rumored Hart Foundation induction that was going to take place.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way they're doing two stables.
No, and that I will be honest with you, because like the Hart Foundation that they described was not like the Hart Foundation that had Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, and Davey Boy Smith in it.
And it's interesting because I'd heard a rumor before the Hart Foundation rumor came out that it was just Owen.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to the Owen Hart Foundation and got a statement from Martha Hart saying, absolutely not, Owen Hart's not going to the Hall of Fame. And then I saw the Hart Foundation rumor. I agree with you. It doesn't make a lot of sense. DX makes much more sense.
Yeah, I'm cool with that iteration of the Hart Foundation going in and giving those guys their dues one day, and Bret Hart being a two-time Hall of Famer. I'm totally cool with that. But the way that they described it though is just like, no, Jimmy Hart doesn't need to be a two-time Hall of Famer. Like I nothing personal, but no.
Yeah.
He's already got it for what he's famous for.
True.
Like putting him in with the Hart Foundation is more the same of what he's already inducted for.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Yeah,
I would say that with almost any manager outside of Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah, no, I'm completely I'm in full agreement with you. Yeah, I wonder who the next
two-timer.
It's probably gonna be Triple H then, right? The next two-timer would have to be Triple H.
Yeah, because I'm thinking unless they did NWO and they inducted all three of those dudes twice.
All three of those guys twice. Yeah, you're right.
Like I was gonna say, I didn't know if you would include anybody else. I gotta tell you also, it's time to induct Brutus the Barber Beefcake into the Hall of Fame.
All right, on that note, Eli, where can people find you on the internet?
Twitter at Elijah Bates, Instagram at Brindlebeard.
You can find me on at Ryan Satin, the website, ProWrestlingSheet.com, at Wrestling Sheet on all social media, YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's where you can find all the videos that we do, the news hits throughout the week, the Raw and SmackDown recaps, other fun videos, that my mind comes up with. You guys can find them all there. Please subscribe. If you're watching already on there while you're here, please subscribe, like, comment. I want to hear what you guys think of all this. Please let it be known that he's crazy on his last suggestion.
No.
There.
Main evented SummerSlam 1988 with Hulk
So he should be
Hogan.
like a headliner Hall of Fame act, you think?
For sure. Give him. I want a 1 hour Broadway from Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
A sentence that nobody has ever said in the history of wrestling. Except for you now.
Yeah. To Ed Leslie.
To Ed Leslie, cheers. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.